folks, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed and registered dietitian nutritionist, and on this channel we like to talk about weight inclusive and weight neutral focused approaches to health, as well as diving into scammy and, in my opinion, unethical nutrition related businesses, products, mostly nutrition related MLMs, and other fear-mongering nutrition related claims. Today's video is going to be a reaction video to a Zoom call. Recently there was a Zoom call hosted by Young Living distributors, and the topic or the focus of the Zoom call was testimonies regarding Ningxia Red. Now, Ningxia Red is one of the more popular products in Young Living. I've done some reviews of that specific product, like a breakdown of ingredients before. It's a drink that is marketed as a nutrient-rich kind of whole food supplement. The primary ingredients are blended wolfberries and other fruit juices and some essential oils. Young Living's distributors often say that there's various benefits from consuming this specific supplement, including energy level increases or that kind of like natural energy boost. They talk about the high level of antioxidants, which, as a side note, is not always a good thing. There's such a thing as too many antioxidants, especially when getting it in a supplement form, like outside of what you would typically consume in a day. And oftentimes the distributors will also talk about other benefits that they have experienced. A lot of anecdotal evidence. Now, while the ingredients in there, a lot of the ingredients in there do contain antioxidants, a lot of micronutrients, the claims that are often put or made from that supplement, it's not supported by strong scientific evidence. Exaggerated health claims are one of the things that we talk a lot about on this channel. So if you aren't subscribed, be sure to do that. But that can lead to some unrealistic expectations to people purchasing this product, and it can also lead to placebo effects. So overall, while this drink does contain antioxidants and there might be some health benefits related to those ingredients in there, I do not recommend consuming or drinking essential oils, but two, the specific claims made about Ningxia Red that are often claimed are not backed by scientific evidence. So just wanted to do a brief summary on that product. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. If all that sounds good to you, let's go.
Get started. We've got a few people on. If you have something to share, I would love it. That's why we do these calls, right? For you to come and listen. But if you have a testimony about Ningxia Red, we would love for you to share it. So you can either raise your hand or we can go ahead and unmute. You can unmute yourself.
So it's interesting to note up front that these kind of calls, they're based on anecdotal evidence. I'll put up a picture of different scientific evidence or different evidence and like the strength of them. Anecdotal evidence is at the very bottom. How something reacts to one person does not mean that it's going to respond in the same way or react in the same way in another person. And there can be a variety of reasons why that person is experiencing what they are experiencing or what they say to be experiencing. So this whole call based on anecdotal evidence already starting off not in a good place. Let's continue.
I'm going to go ahead and just kick us off by reading in this book. I put it in the chat again. It's called Discovery of the Ultimate Superfood by Gary Young. You might get lucky to find it on Amazon, but the place that people have the most success to find this is thrift stores, eBay. I think somebody found a copy on Thrift Books, so it's no longer in print. So
if anyone has a copy of that book, let me know. It sounds like it's filled with claims, and so it would be interesting to read.
But yes, it is such a good book because it literally talks about all kinds of aspects of using the wolfberry, which is what Ningxia is made from.
So she reads a little part of the book talking about the wolfberries in there. I'm going to skip through that, especially if I'm able to find that book. I think that would be really interesting to do a deeper dive on. But right now, let's focus on those testimonies.
Let's get started with somebody that has a Ningxia testimony. So feel free to unmute yourself. Even if you don't want to put your face on the screen, that's okay. Just unmute yourself and share.
So this is my husband sitting to my left.
Hello.
Your left, I don't know. Right, left, wherever it is, because he's on my left, but he's showing up on my right. It's weird. Anyway, so Royce.
Also, I forgot to make this note, but if you recognize anybody from this video, please do not go out and contact them in any way. I do use distributor content here and there on this channel, but I block the people unless they are a large, very large creator or an influencer. And even at that, sometimes I still will block. On my channel, I like to blur people's faces and focus more so on what they're saying, focusing on corporate and the issues of MLM in general, not so much focused on the victims of MLM, which is the distributors. And yes, they can do the victimizing down the line, but they're still victims. And I do have a hope that people who are in MLM will be able to step out of it and kind of see how they were acting on the other side. And I don't want them to come across any of my videos and see their names or faces or anything like that. So I just typically will blur people unless they are really large creators. Okay, back to this.
Was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2020 and went through some pretty evasive treatment. It was the worst kind that you could get. It was a double hit. He had to be inpatient and they pumped a lot of chemicals into his body to kill the cancer. He has ever since cancer free. In December of that year, we were introduced to Ningxia about 4 years ago and didn't jump on the bandwagon and decided that it was time. So we have been with Young Living since December of 2020, and then started with Ningxia and Sulfurzyme, I believe, were the two that we started with. And ever since, we've just taken all of our supplements straight up to Young Living and haven't thought twice about looking back. He goes every 3 months to get a checkup. Well, it was 3, and then now he's on 6, and we're hoping to get on a year plan. But every single visit, his doctors were amazed at what his numbers were. Now, it's not the only thing we were doing. We were using, several oils. He was using several oils.
So I'm really glad that he was able to get through the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I cannot imagine going through that, and I am very, very glad that that person did get through that. They thought that they're putting the Young Living Ningxia Red, or she did say that it's not just that they were doing other things as well, like essential oils, but she also said that they went through treatment. And while treatment does not work for everybody, it does work for some people. And so I'm just wondering how much of the results from treatment, the outcome from treatment that they're putting on Ningxia Red rather than the actual treatment, the evidence-based treatment.
That I don't know if I can say, but what oils are we all using? Frankincense,
Valor, peppermint,
Coco Bahia.
Yeah.
Those are just a few.
And then I'm still using the Endoflex, right?
Endoflex and its endocrine system.
Yeah.
So, but
and the naturopathic doctor that I had, what I see, they were all for it. So they just told me when.
The naturopathic doctor that he has is all for it. It sounds about right. Yeah.
When to take, when not to take during the chemo treatments, and it's been, it's helped. It has helped.
Yes.
It's hard to prove a false negative. You can't, right?
His numbers have, every time they take his blood, they're incredible. His cholesterol's gone down. He's lost. How much weight did you lose?
I was 245 when I went in for cancer, and I'm down to 185, and I've been keeping it off ever since. So
wow.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not all the Ningxia. We changed our diet. We're eating organic. It's a combination of things, but it definitely has.
So just that weight loss, he said that what he was, the number on the scale before he had cancer and then after cancer, that's not always a good thing. So I can't say how that happened in his specific story, but just to applaud the weight loss specifically. Was he able to eat? Was his appetite? There's a whole lot behind there. And so there are some people who were like, yay, and I have this blurred, but there are some people who are like, wow, that's awesome. Maybe, I don't know.
Made a difference. We put it in our smoothie every morning with watermelon, because that's a really cleansing thing for your kidneys. I mean, it's really, you got to get that crap out of your kidneys and your liver. And so we've made the lifestyle change, and now we're sharing our story. And we went to a music festival a couple of weeks ago, and I can't tell you, I shared with 10 to 15 people who all had something happening, whether cancer came.
She shared with 10 to 15 people who have something happening. Let me rewind that.
I shared with 10 to 15 people who all had something happening, whether cancer came back after 20 years or whatever. I mean, I've signed 2 new people on this month because of our story. So working on.
So this is a part about MLM that is really frustrating when people multiple people will join because of, like she mentioned, sharing their story. So anecdotal information, anecdotal evidence, non-evidence-based information, and targeting people who are going through very tough issues. When you are looking at something like a health condition, you're in a really vulnerable place. I remember when my dad was going through leukemia, he did not make it. It was a very, very challenging, like just under 2 months time period. And at that time, I had no idea what multi-level marketing was, but we did have people who told us about this like water that could reverse everything, that would, cure things like that. It sounded too good to be true at that time, and I'm so glad that we were like, no. But this happens. People will prey on people, and it's not okay. It's damaging. I mean, it's been happening forever. The snake oil salesman and going after those like pain points, that vulnerability. It's nothing new, but it's just so frustrating.
A few more. So
Good.
Just wanted to share that since you started with the cancer thing, I thought it was a good opportunity.
Exactly. That was the segue for sure. Oh my word. Yes. And so thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so grateful that the numbers are improving. And one of the things that you said, which is so great, right, is it isn't just, oh, you just drink Ningxia and everything is peachy, right? It does take other steps. And, there's a quote that says you cannot out supplement a crappy diet. And that is so true. It is an all, you have to be all in and make lots of changes. So that is amazing. Thank you for sharing. Yay.
Thanks.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Anybody else next that wants to share? It doesn't have to be about cancer. It can be something, something different. So, so go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand, whatever feels comfortable for you guys. We have 106 people on here. I know there's some Ningxia testimonies.
They have 106 people on there. So spreading the information wide.
Hi, my name is.
Hi.
I'm a diabetic.
Great.
It was really bad. I got to the point where I couldn't think. I was like slogging through molasses, and nobody told me that was a side effect of diabetes. I had no idea, and I was just like, "What's wrong with me? Is it because I'm aging, or what is going on?" And I was only in my 40s, and I was like, "I don't understand what's going on." And so I started with Young Living. It'll be about a year and a half now. Started with the starter kit with the oil. Loved the oils. And my uplink Lydia, she was like, you really need to try Ningxia Red. And I was like, oh, I don't know, it's expensive, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you, we were living in a homeless shelter last summer and I was still ordering my Ningxia because I need it that much.
It is just so frustrating how someone can just experience those symptoms, go through the symptoms, not knowing that they have diabetes. And that's a direct, I think, result, or shows a picture of the healthcare system in America and how frustrating and how just terrible a lot of it is. And so many people will not know that they do have diabetes or any other kind of condition too. It's just really frustrating how that was her experience, and I feel really bad about that was her experience. And another point that she said in there was how when last summer, I believe she said, when they were living in a homeless shelter, she was still purchasing her Ningxia Red. Now that, when I heard that the first time, that was just so infuriating because it is so expensive. So for 2 bottles, it is $107.89. And for someone living in a homeless shelter, I would hate for them to feel like that was what they had to purchase. One, Young Living or any multi-level marketing company, there's going to be this unnecessary upcharge so that the distributors get paid and the upline gets paid, and it doesn't need to be that expensive. That's the first point. But 2, there are so many other things that can be beneficial, symptom wise, blood sugar level wise, that don't require you to purchase a supplement from an MLM company. And I hope that the distributor who was providing the link for her to purchase the Ningxia Red through was giving that woman the payments that they were receiving. I cannot imagine having someone who is homeless purchasing a product that costs that much and then taking the commission from it. That, I hope that that's not what happened. And I hope that also the people upline wise also didn't keep that commission, because that is just the ethics of it. I don't see it. I don't know. It's just like, this is really not okay, in my opinion.
That will drop my blood sugar by 40 to 60 points every morning if I need it, which is just mind blowing. It does more than the insulin does. I've already gotten off of one insulin. I'm working on getting off of my second insulin. I'm not sure that I will ever be insulin free, because I had twins and that kind of screwed up everything. Because I love my twins, don't get me wrong. I would, not give them up for anything. But I had two previous children, and then I had my twins, and yeah, everything kind of went, your body's done. So I was just like, okay.
And another thing that she was mentioning, how she didn't know that she had diabetes for a while until her symptoms were like a lot. I'm curious if she was able to meet with like a registered dietitian, for example, to help with managing those blood sugar levels beyond insulin, right? So a lot of times doctors will refer someone to a registered dietitian when they are getting diagnosed with diabetes, but a lot of times that also doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. One, the doctor could just like, that's not part of their practice of like doing action wise, but two, it could also be accessibility. And this person had mentioned that they were living in a homeless shelter. There are dietitians who will do like clinics where they'll be like for free, and other dietitians who also do like sliding scale, but that is like an accessibility issue. And so she might not have had that accessibility, and a lot of people don't. And so again, another frustration of mine with the healthcare system in America, and how it allows this breeding ground for nutrition MLMs, unnecessary supplements and like programs and just products and things that are just a result of the issues that we have with the healthcare system in America. And yes, MLM is all around the world, but it's a really, especially the nutrition ones, it's just so many issues in the United States with it. And there are so many reasons why that's going on. Capitalism, but I think we can see that really easily when we look at the health and nutrition MLMs specifically. Let's continue.
And Lydia encouraged me to give up sugar, which I was like, are you crazy? I can't give up sugar. Sugar's in everything. You're nuts. I'm never going to do that. And then
It's true. Sugar is in broccoli too. It's glucose. It breaks down into glucose. That's sugar. So yes, giving up sugar, I would not recommend it, because like she said, it's in everything. Fruits, vegetables, things that are part of a very nutrient-dense diet.
Isn't it amazing, right? It's like we take these little baby steps and then things start to make sense. And then, yeah, it gets easier because we see how we feel, right? When we make these changes. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I gave up sugar. I gave up anything that has like, I will eat like natural cane sugar, like organic stuff. That's fine. I don't eat a lot of it. I don't usually eat honey because I'm allergic to bee stuff. So I try not to, although I love honey. Agave, that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't do a lot of sugar.
Good. Well, that's so good. And so now you have Ningxia, and you've probably seen the other testimonies from people that thought that they couldn't take Ningxia because they were diabetic, and in fact,
by the way, there's sugar in Ningxia Red too.
Is reversing the diabetes, and so it's just been so healing. So yay, that is awesome.
Reversing diabetes, not really a thing. Yes, you can control blood sugar levels to where sometimes people with their habits, with their lifestyle, they can reduce the need for medications. I've seen that a lot in alignment while they're working with their doctor and making these lifestyle changes, right? They're not just cutting out the medications on their own, but that's not the same thing necessarily as like the idea of reversing it. Like you're managing it. The term like reversing is not necessarily what's going on.
Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I think I missed somebody that actually had raised their hand in the screen.
There, I got it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mine is pretty short. It's just about a good friend of mine that's in my group, and she takes Ningxia Red every day, and she has all the OCD, anxiety, depression, and she just was asking me if you could pick one thing, what would you pick? And I said definitely Ningxia Red. And she started taking it, and it started helping her so much she actually decided to double her dose every day so it would help even more. So it's majorly helping her a lot.
That's awesome. What is she noticing about how she's taking, just being able to focus, or are there other things?
Yeah, well, with her OCD, everything bothers her, and so she's less sensitive to everything. And her anxiety is way down. She's sleeping better, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to make a note on something like anxiety, other conditions. So with nutrition, it's not that specific micronutrients are going to cure anything. At that same time, if somebody is experiencing one of those kind of conditions and they have a deficiency on top of that, sometimes that deficiency can make those symptoms a little bit more challenging. And so for something like anxiety specifically, sometimes people will find that using something like magnesium glycinate and some vitamin D3 as well, maybe some fish oil, that might help with symptom management as far as like addressing those deficiencies. Again, not going to cure. Some people also have those specific conditions not related to, a lot of times people have those not related to a deficiency like whatsoever. And so I just want to be, and I've been seeing this also on TikTok, like people, someone said that they started taking magnesium glycinate and they don't have anxiety anymore, and all these, like, the comments were a little bit scary, and I had commented on there as well. And so I just wanted to make that clear, because I think that, again, it's one of those things where someone can take something, diet culture can take something and then like run with it. In this case, it's more of like wellness culture, but I'm seeing it happening on TikTok, specifically with anxiety and magnesium, just kind of running with it. And if that's the case, if this person was experiencing those things because of some kind of deficiency, and again, like the antioxidants in there, some specific micronutrient in there helps with that, they can get that without spending that money. They can get that with food that you would find in like a typical grocery store. Now, again, that brings up the whole thing of like if they have availability of grocery stores and stuff. But again, purchasing Ningxia Red is just so pricey, and in my opinion, as a health professional, nutrition health professional, unnecessary. Let's get back to this.
Makes sense, right? Sleep is so healing for the body, and if we're not getting it, then everything gets out of whack. So, all right, thank you. I'm sorry I missed you the first time around, so thank you so much. All right, you want to share?
I do, thank you. My story is a little bit long, but I'll make it short. I joined Young Living about 8 years ago, so it was August of 2015. In December of 2015, I had my routine colonoscopy, and there were polyps there removed. Well, then 2 years later, I ended up having diverticulum rupture. I had to have colostomy for about 4 months. They were able to reverse that, and I attribute that to the Ningxia Red and the multivitamins. I took those.
So I'm really glad that she was able to reverse her colostomy. That is not unheard of, though, at least in the people who, a lot of the people who I've seen. And so she's putting that on because of Ningxia Red and because of the Young Living supplements, when that is not something that is like unheard of to reverse it. Again, it's like, what else was going on? What was the whole like condition? How were you doing overall? What was the treatment plan? Just putting something, all of that on Ningxia Red is just like, don't forget about everything else that you're doing or that you did. It's not just Ningxia Red.
Then recently I thought, okay, I need to just go do another one. It's been since 2017. It's time. So I went back this summer and all this time I'm drinking Ningxia Red every day. Then the report this time says mild diverticulosis. So I feel very, very fortunate. I know without a doubt that
I've seen that you can experience that, go back and have that mild kind of case. This is just so frustrating because this person is just putting all of that on the Ningxia Red. When I've worked with so many people, I specialize in digestive health. That's one of the areas that I specialize in, digestive health. You can see that, experience that. I'm not going to say that it's always going to happen, right? Like your genetics play a role in it, overall environment plays a role in it. Your diet is just a very small portion of that. It can impact those later colonoscopy results. It's not going to be the only thing that impacts it, but like, does she think that nobody else experiences that and that everybody who does experience that is taking the Ningxia Red? Like, just so much focus on it. And I know this call is about Ningxia Red, but It's just a lot.
that the Ningxia Red is what's made the difference.
Wow. That wasn't a long story. That was great. You were good. So thank you. Oh my gosh. I love, because we all have so many different things that we're coming and sharing the Ningxia about. So I love it. So, hooray. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Lydia, you all set?
Yes, I'm going to pass the phone to my husband because my story is about energy for pregnancy, but his story is pretty awesome.
Perfect.
Sorry. All right. So our family got started with Young Living because of me. It was a little over 6 years ago now. And Ningxia Red was one of the first things that I tried, along with several of the oils. And I had interstitial cystitis, which is a autoimmune that affects the bladder. And there's a long list of different vitamins and just core nutrients that usually are associated with flaring up that condition that were kind of on the no-no list. And I was unfamiliar with the Ningxia wolfberry, but someone had recommended to try it out. And so I did. And I was doing a rather large amount, just especially for my condition. I think I was drinking about 4 to 6 ounces when I first got started with that. And it wasn't until about 9 months into drinking it every single day, I think I was down to about 2 ounces at that point, that I realized that it was incredibly high in a lot of those core vitamins and nutrients that were on the no-no list for me, that if I'd had in any other source would cause me to go into immediate flare-up and I wouldn't be able to process. But the Ningxia wolfberry is so remarkable. And the way that Gary put that together with some of the other berries that are in that.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment on that. So he was experiencing flare-ups with interstitial cystitis, and there are foods that might cause some trigger responses in people. And so when you're talking about what he was talking about, that like no-no list, that was more of like a older kind of view of things. And nowadays, typically it's going to be, those are a list of foods that we can take out for 1 to 2 weeks and then start to reintroduce them, because a lot of people don't have that same kind of response. They don't have that trigger food to cause that flare up. So it's not like a no-no list forever. It's just like an elimination and then reintroduction of those foods. Like some people, those foods don't trigger a flare up. And so it sounds like that's what's going on here. It's not the Ningxia Red in particular. Let's continue.
Along with the essential oils, that it was able to respond in my body in such a way that not only did it not cause flare up, but I was able to finally get those core nutrients that I needed, that God used to do tremendous healing work in my body, that after about a year of doing that, along with a bunch of other things and changing my lifestyle, that I was able to overcome that health condition.
And a bunch of other things. It's not the Ningxia Red.
It was off the charts in so many of these things that was exactly what I needed in order to heal. And it was just in the right way, because the balance in that, with how amazing that berry is. And so that was just a huge blessing for me. And our family has been drinking Ningxia Red every single day. They start about a year afterwards. And so we give it to our youngest little ones as soon as they're able to hold a cup and drink for themselves.
Not the little ones.
I just noticed such a tremendous difference in our overall family health because we've made that decision.
That is so true. Oh my gosh. Oh, Kathy says that's the second testimony she's heard for Ningxia Red and that specific condition in less than a week. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, congratulations. I love celebrating that.
I will say anyone who has that. I will say anyone who has it, everyone's different. And I do know people who've tried it that they need to do a really small amount. So if you are suffering from that.
So he knows people who've had that condition who need to do a really small amount. Yes, it's almost like the no-no list is that elimination and then reintroduction, because people can have different triggers. People can have 0 of those and people can have them. So it depends on the person. And so it sounds like he's just one of those people who was non-responsive to those specific foods, those nutrients, and he just I'm glad that he made that note of like, well, sometimes it does impact other people who experience this same condition. So that's interesting. Not surprising.
Start small, but some people like me can go big, and God does amazing things.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good disclaimer for sure. So, all right, Lydia, were you going to share something about pregnancy, you said?
Oh, I was just going to share my, after my third baby, I was very depleted of everything. It was like, I'm really disappointed how little energy I have, and drinking 2 ounces of Ningxia. And it was almost an overnight experience for me doing that with Master Formula, and my energy came right back. And this is baby number 5, so I'm doing good.
Yeah, well, you had some energy come back because yay, I love that. So it's so good, right? When we get to fulfill our mama duties in a way that we can show up and be present and not be totally exhausted. So that's great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's great.
When you do have pregnancies back to back kind of or just even if they're not back to back, you're still going to have some depletion in nutrients, right? And so if, again, going back to what was the rest of her dietary intake, was she able to meet with a dietitian? I keep going back to that, I know, I'm sorry, but was that accessible to her? Was she able to get in the nutrients, the focused nutrients that her body would need to heal from that pregnancy afterwards? We don't know. So, yeah.
Unmute yourself, Kelly, or do I need to try to find you and unmute you?
I have it. I have it.
Perfect.
Yes. I can't find the hand on here. I've looked everywhere.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask, and it may be a little off topic from everything that everyone else has touched on, but what are there any suggestions with this helping with long-term effects from COVID?
Well, if somebody has a testimony that they want to share that might address that, that would be great. So we'll let people ruminate on that, but we can probably come back to that in just a second. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure, yeah.
So that host should have immediately shut that down and said, no. It is not evidence-based. We cannot make recommendations for COVID-related treatment. But she didn't. She was like, well, people can think about it and share their story. Let's continue on, kind of thing. What? That's not okay.
All right, Holly, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I did. So I'm relatively new to Young Living as far as being very purposeful. And I've been to a few of the Tuesday table talks. And the one thing that's got me kind of hung up is when you get sick, how do you take advantage of the Ningxia Red? I mean, do you just take the 2 ounces, then you up it to 4 ounces? I heard one time somebody was talking about doing a bottle a day.
Well, yeah. So there, I would.
That.
Yeah, I think. So we try not to necessarily treat, but I will just say my own experience. So if I find myself coming down with something, there are times where I will drink a whole bottle within a 24-hour period. So I think one thing that comes as you start using oils and different holistic products is you begin to really tune into your body, and if you feel like this is going to be something that helps your body, you will drink more. And so, and I have a younger son that we use it on too. And if the minute he starts to feel unwell, he's getting Ningxia cocktails. And so, so we really pour the Ningxia freely in those situations. So,
so what would you say? What would you say would be the typical walk-up dose?
You mean for if I was starting to feel ill, or I would probably be drinking 10 to 12 ounces in my first 24 hours of feeling ill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have found in my own experience that when people are sick, I go into what I call mama mode, and we are oiling every 30 minutes and we are giving beverage, and which is Ningxia, and then good, clean filtered water. Yes. Hit it hard and fast and often, as Kathy said, that I have found to be so successful because usually within about 20
oils every single 30 minutes.
4 hours, whatever is the issue, typically I would say is well under control by that point. But obviously, different things for different people, but yeah, it's definitely.
No, Susan, that's very helpful because some of my frustration has been I hear all these remedies, but nobody tells amounts,
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, you're not going to find that. So that's why listening to these calls, I think, is really helpful because you'll get just a little more experience under your belt from hearing from other people. So yeah, I would say for myself.
So she knows the host is saying we can't give any dosage amounts to treat specific conditions, but that's why you're supposed to get on these calls so you can hear about what specific dose amount to get. We can't publicly put it out there, but you go to these calls to get that information. So we know that behind the scenes, these kind of claims, things that they're not supposed to be doing with dietary supplements because of the lack of evidence. We know that they're, trying to be as careful as they can in public, but in these calls, still some sketchy things going on.
A daily dose that I have discovered is between 4 and 6 ounces is where I kind of sit pretty right now because I've seen the difference in just going up from 2 ounces to 4 ounces a day is just helping my energy and my overall inflammation. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Amanda, I saw you had your hand raised. And
I've been with Young Living for
quite a few years. I can't remember exactly when I started. And I refused to try Ningxia Red because it was so expensive. I mean, you couldn't pay me to do that. Fast track. Well, it's been about 2 years now. My husband left, and I was in the middle of a lot of stress. And I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And so I did, and it made a huge difference. I mean, I could handle the stress a lot better. I could function better. I could just be more present. And then I started donating plasma, and things got tight. And I was like, well, I don't really need the Ningxia. I'm doing really well. I'll just drop Young Living for a while. My loyalty rewards orders. And it was a couple months later, I'm hitting rock bottom because I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, the first chance I had, I went back on the loyalty program, and I got my Ningxia. And within a month of starting back up, I've got my energy back, and I'm able to, keep going despite all of this.
And so I'm glad that she's feeling a lot better. It goes back to what I was saying before, like I want to know what they were doing when they weren't doing the Ningxia, right? So she had mentioned a lot of stress that she was under. She and her husband had separated. And so like, was she able to with her anxiety and just her mental space, was she able to get in nourishment for herself? And so if she was deficient in several areas, or on the way to that, wasn't eating like nutrient dense foods for a variety of reasons because of everything that was going on, like how much of that is why she had that reaction or that response to consuming the Ningxia Red? Like it would be like anything that is nutrient dense at that point, right? So like what is the full story? We can't just put everything onto Ningxia Red. That's not how this works.
Good.
I mean, I didn't realize how much of a difference it would make, but it makes a huge difference.
It really does. But in this book,
if you're not eating anything, drinking something that has nutrients in it is going to probably make you feel better. If you have a very nutrient dense diet, or if you know how to like pair foods together, that can also make you feel very well and energized. And in that case, adding on Ningxia Red might not feel any difference at all. And so it's just, we need more information. And I'm not comfortable putting everything, seeing all of that anecdotal evidence. It's not strong enough evidence to have me believe that this is from Ningxia Red. I think we would see a lot more research, a lot more convincing research if that was the case, specifically on Ningxia Red.
It talks very specifically about energy and depression and anxiety and how effective the wolfberry is for that. So I'm so glad that I'm not glad that you had to go through that valley to get that revelation, right? But I'm grateful that you know the key right now that is helping you. So thank you for sharing, Amanda.
Right now, I'm just sticking with like 2 ounces. I mean, and that's the difference I'm making with 2 ounces a day.
Yeah.
Just for people's information. I mean,
perfect. Thank you. All right. There was somebody that had some information for wanting to share about COVID and Ningxia Red. I was trying to scroll back up to.
Here we go.
Through the comments. Was there somebody that wanted to unmute? I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
I had a thing on COVID.
Sure. Yes, please.
And I had COVID twice, and I couldn't get the side effects taken care of. And the biggest thing was cough and tiredness. I was just always extremely tired, even though the rest of the COVID symptoms were gone. And so I was recommended mineral essence. Mm-hmm. And so I put mineral essence in 2 ounces of Ningxia Red 3 times a day. And it was, I was recommended 3 droppers. Well, it automatically measures out half dropper. So 3 half droppers 3 times a day. And the bottle recommends 5 droppers a day.
Again, she was taking mineral essence. There's a lot of minerals in there. Was she deficient in minerals in general? It's not the Young Living that is like curing people.
And anyway, so I did 3 a day for 3 months, which is what I was recommended, and pretty well got rid of all of my leftover symptoms.
Oh, so. Very good. Yeah. So minerals are a key component. Yeah. Minerals are so good. So, all right. Perfect.
I had something similar too, Susan.
Yes.
when in 2020, when I went to the Diamond event in Missouri, Branson, Missouri, somehow I caught the COVID while I was up there, and then 9 of our team members ended up getting it before they got home. But when
I'm not laughing at the fact that she got COVID. I'm laughing at the fact that she said in 2020 she went to this event and somehow they caught the COVID. Somehow. There is a reason why that happened, right? Like, you went to an event with a lot of people, probably. Ugh, I wonder how many people the Young Living distributors spread COVID to. That's so frustrating. And how many people like that impacted. Ugh.
I got to Dawn's home, I was going to stay another day, and I said, no, I just don't feel right. If I had not had 5 extra Ninja Red packets with me on the way home, I don't think I would have made it a 5-hour trip. I had to stop twice at welcome centers on the way home and fell asleep and didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And the next day I started researching.
You didn't know why you were feeling the way you were feeling. It's because you had COVID. This is like, I'm wondering if this person like believed that COVID was a thing, because at that time a lot of people didn't, or they didn't think it was a big deal. For some people, they might not have experienced it very like intensely, but for a lot of people they did. And so it's just when I hear people going along with what she said about somehow we caught it and then I didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling, like, you should know why you were feeling the way you were feeling. It was because of COVID.
I started getting the cough, I started getting the headache. I had no energy. I was about to fall asleep again and slept a lot. And then I read that PubMed said that we needed to be taking geranium and lemon.
Yes.
And I decided on my own to add the thieves. Well, no, because Tammy told me, add thieves to it, darling. And I said, okay, that pulled me out of it. So you all, when this next batch comes, I'm not saying it's coming, but they're telling us we are. Y'all get you some geranium, and I mean get 2 or 3 bottles, and get you some lemon, and get you some thieves. I'm not kidding. Put it on the bottom of your feet, put it in your diffuser, stick it up your nose, all over your body, and you will not be affected.
And we now have red cedar bliss too, which is
and you will not be affected. I think the person cut her off, like, because she knew that she was going to be saying that, you know, you will not be affected by it. But I do want to point out, someone in the chat put, we have been fortunate to never have COVID because of all the YL Young Living products that we have been blessed with. So we have been fortunate to never have COVID because of the Young Living products. That's a claim. That's a health claim. No, we're not doing that. I've left that here if you want to report that. I have done that already, but just wanted to highlight that.
So good. So make sure you grab a bottle of that now as well.
Got a bottle of that now too.
Perfect.
And it's interesting that so many people in Young Living have talked about their experience getting COVID and what they did to go through that. And so it's just interesting how some people will be like, oh, we haven't caught it because of that, when like, well, what about the other people in Young Living who have caught it even though they were taking the Young Living products? Like, is that why? Because like, could you maybe have had it and not had very much symptoms? For some people that's the case. Saying you haven't caught it because of Young Living that's a no-no.
I'm not kidding. Right. The more oils, the better you're going to be when you get through this mess.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Because it's not funny, is it, Tam?
The more oils, the better you're going to be. No, there's such a thing as too many oils. Don't ingest them.
No.
None of this COVID is on. If I don't had it once, that's it, period. If I feel like I'm going to get it again, 12 ounces of Ninja Red goes on me.
That's right.
That reset has really helped my body.
All right, we have 5 minutes left, friends. Do we have one more person that wants to share a testimony before we kind of say see you? Go ahead.
In April, I was in the hospital with COVID, of course, and other things. And the day I got out of the hospital, I'd been playing with the Ninja Red off and on for the last year and a half, not continuously every day. So, and I have CLL, and my numbers were very, very high. So the day I got out of the hospital, I said, I'm going to try this for 3 months straight without missing one day taking the Ninja Red. Well, when I went back to the cancer doctor, he came in the room and he said, what are you doing to help yourself? And I said, why? What do you mean? And he goes, no, seriously, your numbers are lower than when you first started to come here. And they were sky high when I was in the hospital. So if I have to get anything, Ninja Red will be always on my order.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be sky high when you were in the hospital. That's why you were in the hospital. Continuing to go down, though, that's showing signs of overall just recovery. So, like, what else is going on? How is overall recovery, sleep, intake, nutrient dense intake, overall stress levels, water intake, so many other things. Again, this whole call just focusing on, I know they're trying to focus on the Ningxia Red, but the anecdotal evidence is just, it's so much.
Oh,
fantastic. Fantastic. Yes.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, I will go out to say that is exactly, if people ask me what is the one product that if I was on a deserted island and there was only one product they could mail me for the rest of my life on the deserted island, it would be Ningxia, because it really supports every body system and it just does amazing things.
Okay, so there are just so many claims in there. When I listened to that call, I knew that I had to share that. And so all of the information down below for reporting, if you feel like you want to do that, all of the information is down there below. I want to know your thoughts though. Were you surprised about any of these claims? Let me know in the comments below. That wraps it up for this video. If you liked this video, please be sure and leave a like and make sure you're subscribed. That would help me a lot. I would greatly appreciate that. And that's it. Remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. I'll see you later. Bye.